The second part of our 2021 tax changes, what we're going to talk about here is we're going to focus on how much the forms have changed. There's major changes to the forms, the 1040 and each of the schedules. There are also other tax law changes that are going to affect us this year. And then lastly, I want to discuss, and we'll do this fairly briefly at the end, the new forms that we're going to be seeing in 2021. So with that, let's look at the new 1040 that is coming out this year. We all know, or many of us should remember, that a few years ago, there was a kind of a major push that we were going to simplify the 1040. It was going to become a postcard, and it was going to become smaller and simpler. And so after the 2018 tax season, the IRS replaced the old 1040s and the 1040A and the 1040EZ. And the 1040A and the 1040EZ were each just one page. And at that time, the 1040 was 2 pages, but we were going to simplify this and make it more streamlined, and we were going to create postcard. But we also at that time created schedules 1 through, at that time it was 6. And then they got reduced down to just 3. So let's look at what we're going to be facing this year. And the first thing is, here is the new 2020 1040, pages 1 and 2 of them. And when we look at this form, the first page really just has a single difference year over year. And that single difference is right here. And that is that the charitable contributions that a taxpayer could take if they don't take the standard deduction is no longer going to be considered an adjustment to income. It's now going to be moved to a below the line item. So it's going to drop. It's now below adjusted gross income. So that's really the only change when we look at the first page of the 1040. When we look at the second page of the 1040, really the only change that we're seeing here is, as I mentioned earlier in part 1, is where you will now report the information on the earned income tax credit. There's now a new section that's going to have to be, we're going to have to enter in on the second page of the 1040, where we enter in the prior year earned income amount from, and it spells that out right on there, that we'll enter in the 2019 earned income on here if we're using that to calculate the earned income tax credit. So there's not a lot that changed on the 1040, just a couple of lines, a couple of things changed. But this year, we're going to see a big difference in the schedules. This is the 2020 Schedule 1. And as you can see on here, you see there, in part 1, there's our additional income items. Part 2 has our adjustments to income items. That was last year. Now this year, the same schedule has gone from 1 page to 2 pages. And you can see it has, both sections have expanded greatly. What this is going to do is that previously, there were a lot of items that we entered on the tax return as other income or other adjustments. Now we will enter them as very specific line items on the tax return. So in years past, something that may have been an other income item now is going to be included right on the schedule. And this is going to flow through to the other schedules also. As we can see here, this is Schedule 2. This is the additional taxes that we had previously, that we would enter in. And as you can see, there's just a few items that we would enter in, and most of the other taxes that we would enter on the tax return would come in, and we would have to put in a code, or there would be a notation on that line. Now, going forward in 2021, as you can see, they're all listed. We've got all these different taxes. In fact, there's over 30 taxes that get collected on the 1040 that previously were coupled into that other tax line, and now they have their own separate lines on the schedule. What this will do, it will make it easier for a lot of preparers, and it should make it easier to explain to taxpayers, because many of these tax items come in off of things like the W-2. There may be items that are in box 12, and they get pulled automatically in the tax program to this line. And previously, they would just be pulled as other taxes with a code, and it would be more difficult to see where it was coming from. But now we're going to see it. It's going to be spelled right out on the form on its own separate line. And then the last schedule is Schedule 3, which here's your 2020. Again, a single page with that wasn't very expanded. And now the new Schedule 3, much larger. It's got all of the credits, all of these different non-refundable credits and refundable credits, each listed out. So now we can see them. So that's going to be our first big tax. It's mainly a forms change, but we're going to see all of these changes again that are they're going to show up on the forms. The form is going to look different. If you print out all of these, last year you had a 2-page 1040 and 3 schedules. Now you've got a 2-page 1040 and 6 pages of schedules. So again, our postcard continues to, grow and shrink, and it's grown again.